Most Improved Player award in the NBA has lost its meaning over the last couple of years, and I just really want to break down what exactly it means to be most improved. Not guys that are number one and number two picks improving. I'm talking guys that you would have never seen coming. So let's break that down right now in the Pelicans Scoop. Cue my music.
This is the Pelicans Scoop with Jordan Kitchens, breaking down everything under the sun about your New Orleans Pelicans. Smash that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay on top of your Pels content. Now, running point, here's Jordan.
What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another edition of the Pelicans Scoop. I am your host with the most, Jordan Kitchens, and ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight to business. We are talking most improved players, aka the MIP award that goes to what the NBA defines as a player that is improved the most from the previous season, or those previous seasons. There might be a slow learner or somebody that matures late, aka the MIP award. And it used to go to guys that I'm not gonna say came from obscurity, but guys that you really didn't see coming, like CJ McCollum won it before, Pascal Siakam, Giannis, before Giannis became Giannis, he won the MIP award. Guys like Jimmy Butler and Paul George and Goran Dragic. Those are a lot of names that what the award used to mean. Guys improving on their games and carving out a spot for them in the NBA. Now, recent couple years, I'll say that. I guess you can really go back to when Brandon Ingram won it, because you kind of do fit this precedent that I'm about to explain. Is that I really think that top 5 picks should not even be in consideration for the award. Brandon Ingram was the number 2 pick. He ended up winning the most improved player. Granted, he did improve from his times. He won when he was on the Pelicans. He did improve from his Laker days, but you were the number 2 pick. You're supposed to be good. It shouldn't come to as a surprise that Brandon Ingram, became a good basketball player. You were drafted as a number 2 pick. That was the plan all along, right? And the reason why I'm breaking that down is because Cade Cunningham is kind of running away with the most improved player award right now, and it just baffles me. This guy was the undisputed number 1 pick. He's coming off a season where, granted, Cade has willed the Detroit Pistons to greatness this year. I'm not going to say greatness, but no, it's been greatness compared to what the Pistons standards have been since their last finals days back on like 05 and 04 and all that. Against the Lakers and whatnot. So, and the Spurs and the Spurs. I was watching Ben Wallace the other day. That's why I'm saying that. But it's been a long time since the Pistons have been even considered to be a good basketball team, right? I guess since Blake Griffin. So Cade Cunningham has really just willed this franchise, but he was the number 1 pick. And it's not like Cade Cunningham, his stats are all up from last year, but we're not talking Cade Cunningham was averaging 10 points, 3 assists, and 5 rebounds. But right now, Cade Cunningham is averaging 25 points, up from 22 last year, 6 rebounds, up from 4 last year, 9.4 assists, which is amazing. Point God, up from 7.5. 7.5. So it's like, yes, he's improved greatly, but this is what you were supposed to be, right? I guess they're considered more of a team award now, but in my eyes, the MIP award has been washed since they let Ja Morant win it. But really when Ja Morant won it, because Ja Morant winning that most improved player over DeJounte Murray and Darius Garland. So he won it over DeJounte Murray and Darius Garland. I kind of just set a bad precedent, right? Because Ja Morant was, again, the number 2 pick and was never bad. He was never bad. It was never like, oh, we don't really know. Ja Morant exploded on the scene. So how can a guy that exploded on the scene, number 2 pick, but behind Zion Williamson, who was like undisputed number 1. So it wasn't like if Zion wasn't there, it might have been a conversation to who could have went number 1, right? If Zion wasn't such an explosive athlete how he was coming out of Duke. Ja Morant was a number 2 pick. I take that back. Julius Randle earned his MIP award. I was just, he was a highly overall talented player coming out of college, but he was a role player because he went from the Lakers. He was on the Pelicans for a little bit. Finally had his nice little run with the Knicks when he won most improved player. So I think that was a good winner necessarily. But if Cade Cunningham wins this award, you can just nip it in the bud. Now the guys that Cade are currently over is Christian Brown, Tyler Hero, and Trey Murphy. And that's really what this video comes down to, is why Trey Murphy is getting snubbed so hard in my eyes. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll understand where my mindset is when I'm talking most improved players. Because what exactly is most improved? Cade Cunningham has improved, right? A lot. But again, your expectations were already great. Christian Brown, on the other hand, is a deserving candidate of the most improved player. Jumping from 7 points last year to 15 now. He's really carving out a nice role for himself on I guess you could say, a finals contender with the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic and, Jamal Murray and PJ. He's really done that. He's improved his game, but you kind of say you didn't see it coming, but he was a late lottery pick, just like Trey Murphy, just like Tyler Hero was a late lottery pick too. So Tyler Hero's up there as well. His odds are extremely high to win it. But in my eyes, he's kind of been doing the same thing. Granted, Jimmy Butler's gone now, and he's been a first-time All-Star this year, so he's stepping up in a bigger way for the Miami Heat. But if you look at Tyler Hero's stats, you have always been a 20-point per game scorer. His playmaking is a lot more up this year because, like I said, Jimmy's gone. They really don't have a point guard. Terry Rozier is, so they don't really have a point guard necessarily at the Heat, but he's done a real good job improving his playmaking, improving his scoring a little bit. He's always been a 20-point per game scorer. Yeah, so Tyler Hero's been scoring 20 points since 2021 to 2022 season. He's been scoring over 20 points since that year. So it's been sitting at 20 for the last 3 years, but now it's up to 23. His rebounds are about the same, still at 5, and his assists, or damn near at 6 assists at 5.8. So his playmaking's up, scoring a little bit more shots going towards him, but he's kind of always been that guy. So in my mind, if you look at Trey Murphy from last year, he averaged 14 points. 14 up to 21.8. Future-wise, it's looking like he could be a perennial 50, 40, 90 guy. He gets his field goal percentage a little bit more. Trey takes a lot of, Kevin Durant-esque shots. Like, it's okay to shoot out the mid-range, but we don't really have an offensive-minded coach like that to work with Trey. Willie Green's not really calling up these sets and these lucrative offenses to try and, create shots for guys and all that. So he's really had to get this out the mud. Trey Murphy has to get this out the mud. And I just think that it set a bad precedent that number 1 and number 2 overall guys can just improve. And, I guess you got to add a little bit of team success in the mix. I will say that you do have to add a little bit of team success. So yes, the Pelicans have been terrible this year. So I feel like that's what's really holding Trey back from really, being in that top spot other than Cade and, probably could be right above Hero. That team success is probably what's holding him back. But I necessarily say that is not really his fault. If we're talking individual player and award, he has improved greatly. So there's always been a lot of controversy surrounding this award since I really would say since John Morant won it. Lauri Markkanen won it. Tyrese Maxey won it over Kobe White. The NBA needs to set out a defined term of what exactly are they looking for in a most improved player. Because you can't just sit there and say, oh, we want to see who has improved the most. You can't just sit there and grab guys that are expectations were to be great and then sit there and put them in guys that are coming from, I ain't gonna say nowhere, because I'm not gonna say nobody knew about Tyrese Maxey, but nobody saw Giannis coming. Nobody saw Jimmy Butler coming. Nobody saw Paul George and Pascal, CJ McCollum, those type of guys. Now you're giving it to Brandon Ingram, John Morant, Maxey, guys of those names, like guys that I'm not gonna sit there and say that, they didn't improve, but their expectations were already great. Like Tyrese Maxey, he was already, I'm gonna say he was what he is now, but you could see he was already a 20-point per game scorer before he won the most improved player. He went from 20 points to 25. His assists went up, his rebounds went up. So I get that, but Kobe White was from obscurity. Kobe White was damn near a bust. He was damn near a bust. So it's just the NBA needs to do a better job at really defining what is most improved. What exactly are the criteria for most improved? Because I think it's like a Wild West scenario right now where you're giving guys that may have not reached their peak yet. I just feel like the most improved has been watered down when you're giving it to guys that are highly touted already. It's supposed to be about guys you didn't see coming. Christian Brown, Trey Murphy. Other than people that really follow those teams, the casual fan had no clue who Trey Murphy III was. They have no clue who Christian Brown was. I mean, the Nuggets didn't win the finals, but like, he's the white boy from Kansas. That like Trey Murphy, tall. They thought he was a spot up for the longest. I still got people commenting Trey Murphy's a spot up shooter. He's not even a spot up shooter anymore. He used to be. He's improved his game. So I think the NBA needs to do a better job at really defining what a most improved player is, because I feel like guys that have been winning it recently, they're not the most improved. They're good and they improved. All right, there needs to be the most impressive improvement or something, MIIP or something like that. They got to find a way to define that. So y'all let me know down in the comments, who do y'all think should win the most improved out of Hero, Christian Brown, Trey Murphy, Cade Cunningham. Shout out Cade. This is no hate to any of these guys. It's just more that I think the award needs to go back to giving it to guys that are, been grinding for real. I'm not saying that those guys are not putting in work. I'm talking about guys that are really carved their roles. Like Cade Cunningham was handed the keys. Brandon Ingram had the keys. He got traded for, the Anthony Davis. He got traded for Anthony Davis. It wasn't like you got traded for a slouch. So, talking about guys that didn't have the keys, had to find their way. Julius Randle, I'll accept his. He found his way because he did not have the keys, found a way to get that car cranked. So, I'm more talking about that. So, y'all let me know where y'all mind's at. We can have a discussion about it. So, thank you guys for sticking for another edition of the Pelicans Scoop. I've been your host with the most, Jordan Kitchens, and I'm signing out. Peace.